Yeah, one of these days. Wow. Let me back off from the mic a little bit until it decides to adjust. Good lord. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But one day maybe we'll actually have. See, now it's going way soft again. All right, we'll figure this out one of these days. Let's see. I need to hit a few more buttons here because y'all aren't seeing what I'm seeing. Thank goodness. If you were, it would probably just look like a mess. But we are back again on a Thursday night. Wait, I think I hit the wrong button. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for there. Happy Great Leap Forward Day, everybody. It is February 29th, 2024. We are back to get fact harder.
Woohoo!
For the 15th time now. Well, take two. We're doing take two. That's okay.
I blame Bob Evans. Fucker.
I blame Bob Evans too. I also blame your shitty metabolism.
Well, they changed. I didn't change. Bob Evans changed.
Bob
Their
Evans
country
changed, yeah.
fried steak used to be the bomb. I mean, it was an irregular shape with crinkles of just deep fried goodness. And then last Wednesday, I go there and pick up my food and bring it home, and I pop open the plastic there, and the fucking perfectly round and flat chuck wagon patty, just like planet Earth, and covered with a gravy like substance. And it was the gravy that I kept puking up. Something in that gravy. I'm going to say it was probably had bioengineered ingredients. So now Bob Evans is just as fast food as that fucking clown with the Fry Guys hamburger.
That's a shame.
What a disappointment.
That's a
But
real shame.
you know, Bob Evans used to be up there by like Ponderosa and Golden Corral and shit. They've fallen so far, man.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Things aren't the
I don't
same
know.
on the farm.
I'll still take a nice sizzler any day of the week over any of that
Oh,
shit, you know.
nobody does steakhouse like Texas though. Oh my God,
Yeah.
the steakhouses in Dallas over there right by the airport, DF Dubs. Oh,
Oh Jesus, that monstrosity. I flew through there on my way here excuse me, from Laredo. Yeah, stopped in the old DFW, and
oof.
it is an even larger monstrosity from what I remember back in the '80s, mid '80s. I guess we all
Yeah,
grow up.
it's massive. I mean, there's like six um like arcing terminal buildings that are split by the
Yeah.
freeway that goes through the middle, and they all kind of look like intrauterine devices, IUDs for those that are contraceptively inclined. Obviously, not me.
Yeah,
Eh.
not the Yona. No, no, sir.
Raw dog, son. Hashtag raw dog. Yeah, so we finally made it to episode 15. I had
Yeah.
things prepared last week, but then, you know, uh, I got better and I got on this work binge and I worked for 8 days in a row. And unironically, or ironically, I guess, unironically, I'm going to keep with that. I get home finishing up my 8 day whirlwind, getting all the money together for the cash down payment to get a new vehicle, which I had to get over $1,000. So once I got the thousand in cash, I can come off the road. So I come off the road yesterday afternoon, and literally as I'm pulling into the parking lot, for shits and giggles, after I get the mail, I just turn on the local country music radio FM station that has the fucking Pfizer commercials and all that dumb shit, commercial radio. And as I'm pulling in and parking, they're like, breaking news from Washington. Mitch
Oh no.
McConnell announces he's stepping down from the leadership. And I thought, wow, well, now I've got something to celebrate for my time off until we all get back to harder. The turtle man is going down. Now he hasn't left the Senate completely,
No,
but
because
he did
wasn't he
announce,
just reelected? Like, doesn't his
yes,
term go till like 26?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, he was just reelected, um, and he's got 6 year term where he was just
right.
reelected. So he was reelected in, I thought, 2022.
Was it 22? All right, so then, well, I mean,
Uh,
shit. Uh,
yeah, we all know he's not going to retire. He's just going to die in office,
yeah,
and that should
that's
be
how they
any
do
day
it
now.
nowadays. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
he's
the
already.
style of the time.
I mean, at this point, when you do a McConnell on camera, that means you're stroking out. You're suffering from a
Correct.
fucking
Right.
stroke.
The next progression in his story arc is to pull a Feinstein.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to see Mitch with one of those die-fi pop open fucking Bieber eyeballs on one side. That'd be so cool. Let's
Like
see.
back in The Walking Dead. Yeah.
And
I think his wife would be more likely to do it though, right? Because she's Chinese.
you were right, I
What?
think. Did you say it ends in 2026?
Yeah.
Yeah. McConnell plans to serve out his Senate term, which ends in January 2027.
Blammo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's when the new one's
See,
inaugurated.
y'all
But
y'all
yeah,
think you just come to get fact harder
wow.
by the Yona.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's a team effort.
That's
It's a
right.
team effort. Somebody's got to paddle and somebody's got to work the rudder. There you
That's
go.
right.
Get back harder.
Yeah. One
Grand
focuses
Theft
on the
World,
shaft, the other on the
Liberty
sack. Yeah.
Radio, soon to be in syndication. We're just not there yet.
Oh, we're gonna get syndicated?
Yeah, I can totally hear us rocket on the NPR. We just got to get more petroleum sponsors. How's that going now that you're in Texas? I know you've got some liaison with the good folks there at Exxon and BP. Well, that would be Houston. It's not that
Yeah.
far.
No, it's not that far, unfortunately. I wish it was farther. I'm not a fan of Houston. Never have been. It's you know the home of the Bush family, Houston.
Houston's a great place to visit
When they're not
until
in
it rains.
Massachusetts, you know.
Until it rains. Um, Fun fact: the widest highway in the world goes through the widest neighborhood in the world. That would be Katy, Texas, which I think
Yeah.
has 15 country music stations. And we're talking about the Katy Freeway, Interstate 10, on the west side of Houston and bucolic Harris County, Texas. Um, I think Texas has 150 counties, more counties than any other state in the union.
Well, it's a big state.
Kentucky is the second most counties of any state with 120, I do believe.
Holy shit! There's 120 counties in Kentucky.
Yeah, or as I like to call them, medieval fiefdoms.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, remember the Dukes of Hazzard with like Boss Hogg and all that shit?
Oh yeah.
That's actually Kentucky. True story.
All
Today,
right. I can see that.
I mean, dude, look. All right, same applies for West Virginia. Look at Governor Jim Justice
Hmm.
and the dog, baby dog, right? Picking up from episode 14 there. I mean, it.
Yeah.
You remember Boss Hogg and his adorable BBW wife
I
Lulu.
do. I do, as a
Um,
matter of fact. And that was
but
exactly what I thought of the first time I saw Jim Justice and Baby Dog. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, this is some real life Dukes of Hazzard shit.
because Boss Hogg had his own
In
dog,
fucking West Virginia.
and the sheriff had his own dog too. Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, good,
That's
and
right.
his trusty beagle Flash. Right. I think the Dukes of Hazzard has been canceled though due to the
Oh,
featured
long time
vehicle
ago. Long
in that
time ago.
show. You know, because
Yeah.
it was the General Lee, and it's
Yeah, they're
got
not. No, they can't.
the Confederate flag on top.
I
So
mean, they
that's
did try.
canceled.
They tried to reboot it into a movie, but the movie sucked, and like I don't think people really got it. So yeah, it's pretty much done. They
Yeah,
might try again, like and make like one of the Duke boys transgender, and like I don't know, like
can't
Daisy
we
will be
cast?
vax injured.
Can't we make the Duke family all black? That would be so lit. That would be
Uh,
so lit. But you got to
dude,
change their
dude,
names. I want like a Jai Meal and a Tyreek
yeah,
Duke.
we should
They're
totally
second
pitch that to
cousins.
Netflix, man.
Yeah, man.
I've seen all
Because
those
remember,
memes. Netflix is all over that shit.
that happened before. That happened before when John Schneider and Tom Wopat both grew a pair of nuts. And they told, I think it was CBS, they were like, hey, we're selling all this stuff. We're the biggest show on your network now. We want to raise. And CBS said, okay, you're fired. We're bringing in Coy and Vance Duke, you fuckers. And there was such a backlash from the viewers. They actually brought back Bo and Luke. But even then, no one could have prepared themselves for the Netflix redux with Jamel and Tyreek Duke. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, and wait till you see Shaniqua. Ha! Step aside, Daisy.
She wear them short shorts.
They're not even shorts at this point. Might as well call them
Was it like a
jean
merkin?
thongs. Jean thongs or jongs for short,
Gotcha.
which is a thing in North Korea.
Yeah, well, we didn't have a show last week because, again, you said this is a team effort, and I, of course, cannot do it without you because you provide the majority of the content. That's the main reason.
Yeah, unfortunately, after I consumed the Bob Evans, uh, my intestinal tract immediately said, "Ye shall not pass." And so,
Actually, it said, "Oh, ye shall pass everything
and
right now."
immediately went right back out the front door. I talked to Ralph 2 or 3 times, and then I passed the fuck out. And my wife tried to wake me back up, but the other issue was the fact that I'd worked for 3 days in a row without sleeping. So,
Hmm.
but anyways, now that all
I can
that's
get
out,
to you.
now that that's all out of the way, we're back up on even keel, and we're here I should say we're here on an historic day,
That's
May
right.
the 8th,
Quantum Leap
um,
Day.
the 29th day of February. Which the sad thing is, every 4 years they work out this conversion from 13 moons to 12 moons, or months, as it were, and they make their adjustments
Mm-hmm.
by fucking with February. But even when February gets the extra day, still the fucking shortest day of the month. It's like Rodney Dangerfield on the
Yeah,
count.
yeah. Well,
When
that's
really
that's
there
why
should
it's
just be
Black History
13
Month.
months. There should just be 13 months to go with the 13 moons, and that would make life so much more simpler. But
Well, but if they did that, Yona, then it would draw attention to the fact that 13 is an integral part of the foundation of this realm that we exist in. And you just can't have that happen. That's why they wipe out the 13th floor from elevators in hotels, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And remember that magic number? Was it 2718?
Damn it, I don't remember.
The magic number and all those different number sequences. We were getting into
Yeah, yeah.
that with Mike the Polymath a couple weekends ago.
Oh,
But
that's right.
I got to give a shout out to David Knight and all my homies at Knights of the Storm for having me on their show earlier tonight, the Foxhole, where we had some good fun with Name That Tune. It was like some Hollywood Squares type shit. It was pretty lit, man. You know, we're
Nice.
going through some. I had Black Crows and Nirvana, and it was a very very drizzle like selection of tunes. I gotta say, I think Jason Barker was channeling his inner Double J there.
Yeah. Well, I
Excellent
mean,
lineup.
there's, there's a fairly large library to draw from at this point. So it wouldn't be hard to just, pick a little bit from here and a little bit from there. And yeah, it kind of sounds like
But
shit
it
that I
does
throw
require
together.
taste. It does require taste. You got to have an ear
Ah,
for it.
nah, you just need a big enough library. That's all you need. Just a little bit of everything, but not too much of anything.
I mean, there are some things that I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to remix some Wesley Willis. I got to bring in some more of this eclectic stuff on my remixes because
Yeah.
I've been remixing like let's see, who did I remix most recently? Electric Light Orchestra, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Blue Oyster Cult, Merle Haggard, Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash. I mean, these are all known entities.
Right.
Whereas, like, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of Wesley Willis's classic rock and roll McDonald's.
I've never heard of that before. I don't know what you're speaking Mandarin right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, well, that's why this show is called Get Back Harder. You see here, anyway, like on StreamYard where you can. Oh, I just send you the link and then you
Yeah.
do it. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll send it to you on the Dick Sword there.
Hmm.
So let's find.
Yeah. Right on the dick sword.
I mean, this. I understand with McConnell leaving. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention Ukraine. So
Is
with
he going to take
McConnell
his
leaving,
shell with him?
no, the shell's going to stay. They're going to put it right next to the column that's got the fasces on it there
Oh,
with
okay.
the
All
sticks
right.
and bounded and stuff.
Yep.
Keep it with the fascism. But with the departure of McConnell from leadership, ooh, that sad times for Koki Smurf, aka Voldemort Zelensky
You
and
think?
Ukraine. Sad times for them. There never was there such a staunch proponent for constantly funding. Oh, I don't know why I'm searching for this on Rumble. It ain't gonna be on Rumble. Let's try it YouTube. Anyway, yeah, with McConnell leaving the Republican minority leadership in the U.S. Senate, that complicates tremendously Ukraine funding bills getting through the Senate. So it remains to be
I
seen
don't think so.
who's going to take over.
Because again,
Fortunately,
he's not leaving. He's
there's
just
more war
he's
hawks.
stepping down from the leadership position. So what are they going to do? They're going to find some other puppet to put in his place, and he's going to
But
do the exact same things that McConnell would have done. So absolutely nothing's going to change.
I got
This
to
is how
say,
the game works.
Mitch McConnell took political fuckery to a whole new level. I mean, who can forget the hilarious times when he would not even grant the hearing to Merrick Garland towards the end of Obama's term, and yet somehow ramrodded through Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett in record blistering pace of time.
Yeah.
Um, just a, and then
Yeah.
probably the
That
greatest hits of
qualifies as
McConnell has got to
fuckery.
be
Yeah.
the 355 votes that he had to try to throw people off of expanded Medicare. He had the biggest hard on against poor people getting health care for some
Oh,
reason.
he hates poor people. But I mean, all of them do. He's not unique in that.
He took it to a whole new level in terms of unconstitutional political fuckery, and no one did anything about it. I mean, it's almost like it's just a completely fake public puppet show that was all scripted. But never mind all.
I think we're going to be getting censored.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is.
What?
I found it.
Oh, you found it?
Rock and roll McDonald's. And I'm
Is
not
that
gonna
like
click through.
is that like Max Sabbath? Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Wesley Willis Now I'm trying to think who discovered him. It may have been Flavor Flav and Public Enemy that discovered him, I think. Anyways, he was just a homeless guy playing on his keyboard on the street, and he's got like mental issues and stuff.
Oh,
And
so he's just like most of the rest of us.
they put him on blast, and
Really?
and so a lot of his music became cult
Is that
classics.
something you want to do to somebody with mental issues?
Well, in retrospect, after sadly Wesley is no longer with us, and sorry to break the news to the viewers there and listeners, but rest in peace, rest in power, Wesley. But after his death, in retrospect, looking back at the public blast phase of the end of Wesley Willis's life, very unethical things.
Mm.
But I'm just glad that at least it was with a major act that was able to provide Wesley with access to health care and other fun things that musicians get to do, like cocaine and whores. Anyways, I've got the link to Rock and Roll McDonald's over there for you.
Oh, we're going to do that now?
Well, I feel like this is the segue into the next segment
Okay.
of retard land. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
All right. Well, let's get totted, and then we can get retotted.
And then retard. Yeah.
Right. And then retotted.
You're welcome, America.
McDonald's is a place to rock. It is a restaurant where they buy food to eat. It is a good place to listen to the music. People flock here to get down to the rock music. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's.
I can hear the Flavor Flav
McDonald's will
influence.
make you fat. They serve Big Macs. They serve quarter pounders. They will put pounds on you. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's.
Oh yeah. Break it up, break it up.
McDonald's hamburgers are the worst. They are worse than Burger King. A Big Mac has 26 grams of fat. A quarter pounder has 28 grams of fat. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's. Rock and roll McDonald's.
Rock on London.
Rock on Chicago. Wheaties represent champions.
The absolute
Wow.
best thing I love about Wesley Willis, every single song he finishes off, and it's always rock on one or two or three different places that are different, and then some pithy little thing like Wheaties Breakfast of Champions, Frosted Cornflakes. They're great. Dude's fucking genius in his autistic mind. He's spitting fire and he's spitting facts. But like when you watch the videos of him in the studio and everyone putting him on blast, yeah, they're all laughing at him. It's just a joke to them. But Yona sees the pure musical genius
Yeah.
behind
Did you hear that
that
breakbeat?
man's autistic spectrum. I mean, he's breaking it down, man.
Yeah,
He's
man.
doing the best he can. But the
Look,
truth's getting out. Truth's
just
getting out,
judging
even with Wesley Willis.
just judging by the album art, I can tell he's a man of the people, right? Because anybody could have gone and taken a picture of a Greyhound bus depot, right? Like that's easy. That's super. I can. Well, we don't have one in Jasper, so I'd have to go to like Beaumont or something. So I would have to put some effort into it. Most places around the country, you can just walk down the street and there's a Greyhound bus terminal, right? He didn't
Well,
just go take a
that
picture,
used to
man.
be the case. That used to be the case. Unfortunately, in the last 20 years, Greyhound has got rid of about 3/4 of all their routes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like the Greyhound map of Greyhound routes and stops used to cover virtually every single interstate and almost every single U.S. highway in the country. And now the Greyhound service map looks like the Amtrak service map. It's a scandal. Greyhound actually terminated their operations in Canada last year altogether after, I don't know, 50 some years.
Can't
It's
really
just
say I
getting
blame him for that.
it's
You know, I
getting
can't.
more and more and more difficult to travel in the United States. So, even if you don't want to live in a smart city, even if you don't want the chitty chicken and the chitty 15-minute walk, um, they're just eliminating options left and right. That's what monopolism
Yeah,
is all about.
correct.
You got one choice, you got one product, or you get nothing.
Yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
that's
No more
that's also
competition.
how it works in communism.
The funny thing is that American capitalism is advertised as a Shangri-La, a promised land
Shit.
of competition and free markets, and
It is if you're a
nothing
corporation.
nothing could be further from the truth. The Federal Reserve picks and chooses winners and losers,
Mhm.
and we have the most managed economy in the world, next to, say, maybe China.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say China definitely gives us a run for our money in that respect.
I mean, you just look at
Absolutely.
the bond market. I mean, again, we're all just like Max
The
Kaiser
bond
and
market, look at what they're
Bert,
doing to fucking Bitcoin right now. The supposedly uncontrollable money. Well,
pump and
it's
dump, baby.
being controlled.
And ultimately, the shit's going to hit the fan with bond apocalypse. And that's all I've been hearing from, Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert and so many others in the financial sectors about the impending doom
Right.
of the inevitable bond apocalypse, which
Right.
what we're talking about is the collapse of the T-bills in the U.S. Treasury bond market. Because as de-dollarization continues to intensify like some serious yee, all of a sudden the air is going to come out of the balloon, and it's just when the bond market collapses, then all we have to rely upon for backing the dollar is our nuki bomb, because Saudis are already trading in renminbi, or
Mhm.
Chinese yuan, as it were. So the petrodollar is already dead. That's actually old news.
Old news, yes. Dead, no. Because the problem is, it's going to take a while for whatever it is that BRICS decides it wants to be. It's going to take a while to get that done. In the meantime, you're still going to have to conduct transactions, which means a lot of people are still going to be using the dollar. And even once the BRICS currency is up and running, it's going to take a while before there is widespread adoption. So I honestly think the best case scenario at this point is that the two go together hand in hand into the future, the American dollar and the BRICS currency, one for each hemisphere. Why the fuck not?
I actually
It's
saw
Hegelian.
a Bitcoin ATM in Huntington, inside the gas station that's got the little mini Burger King inside of
Who
it.
the fuck in Huntington has money for Bitcoin?
I know, right? But they had a Bitcoin ATM in there. Well, it is one of the fancier gas stations because it's got the four of the charging stations for the spontaneous combustion engine, the EVs.
Nice.
Um, it's BP, of course. Hello,
Oh, yeah,
Texas, Louisiana. Hey, if you have an oil spill, you know what corrects it? Corrects it. There you go.
yeah.
Just add
Along
more
with
corrects it.
everything else in the environment.
And all that oil sludge will just sink down to the bottom of the Gulf and cover the bottom of the Gulf bed with, in some places about 30 foot deep of sludge that's still there. Hey, out of sight, out of mind. Next story. Page 2, Paul Harvey.
H2.
Oh, did you hear that funny story that happened last night? Um, Within 24 hours ago, um, one of the aid convoys that was allowed to pass through the Rafah border crossing was heading up to Gaza City to deliver flour and diapers and other vital necessities. And once the aid convoy stopped, and it's all coordinated with the Inch Dick Force, or IDF for short, they then opened fire and killed 140, 150 people so far, injured
wow.
about 300 with ammo as they snipers and tankers just
Oh, they were sniping
they
even.
just
Come on,
they
man.
just waited for them to form lines and to start go up, and just as soon as they started distributing food and diapers, boom, the people in the front of the line, all the people waiting in line were just mowed down with sniped at, and then the tanks dropped a few shells on them, and this because the convoy arrived, I think it was around like 4 o'clock in the morning local time. It was dark still.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And so it's not like until 6:37 at first light, then you get the first reports coming out this morning on like Al Manar and Dua and Al Jazeera and the other Arab networks that I follow, that were showing the latest greatest acts of turbo genocide.
Yeah. I did, as a matter of fact, hear about that story a few times today. There were a few people that decided to bring it to my attention.
Even Poopy Pants Biden chimed in about it today.
Did he really?
When asked about it.
Yeah.
And he said that,
Did he say heck of a job, Brownie?
He said there's actually two different narratives about what happened, and he's still waiting for that to flush out. But it looks like there's not going to be a ceasefire by Monday now. So
Oh, yeah. I saw
I'm
you
off the
backtrack
camp,
on
David.
that. Yeah. Well, it's time for some R&R.
Remember, all college loans will be forgiven. Everyone's going to get a $2,000 check. If you can just help me get Ossoff and Reverend Warnock into the Senate in Georgia, we'll have that Senate majority. He campaigned all over the state of Georgia for 3 solid weeks, screaming at the top of his lungs, $2,000, $2,000, $2,000.
That's right.
Trump had already signed the legislation for the checks to go out. He dialed it back.
Hope and change, America.
And it was Mitch McConnell that put the kibosh on Trump pushing through repeal of Section 203 protections for Facebook and Twitter because they were
look on the bright side, Yona. We don't have to worry about him doing that anymore now. It's all over. It's done.
And the good thing is, as bad as Mitch McConnell was, as many terrible precedents as he set, I'm holding out hope that we can actually find somebody worse. And that's not you, John Cornyn. No, way worse.
I got
John
somebody
Cornyn,
for you.
who's from Texas, by the way. John Cornyn.
I actually have a senior member of the Senate. Oh, no, wait. No, he's on the other party. Shit. That won't work. Sorry. I was going to say Mark Warner, but then I remembered he's Democrat.
Oh, yeah.
But Mark Warner would have been perfect. Because he's all Mr.,
super duper Warhawk, but he's got to be like 95 years old now.
Mark Warner? No, he's just
a
couple years older than us. No, not old man Warner, young man Warner.
Oh, Warner Jr. Oh,
yeah, remember he came up. He came up as a representative, and then he became a senator.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Because he's the one that filled his seat.
Correct.
Sometimes nepotism is a good thing. All in the family, right, meathead?
Yeah.
speaking of Rob Reiner, how the fuck do movie theaters stay open?
What, movie theaters are still open? The one here in Jasper's closed.
Like, there's 2 theaters in there's the one the downtown mall at Pullman Square. There's one at the downtown mall in Ashland. There's one at the Huntington Mall, and they're always empty. And
Yeah, I don't
the
doubt
ticket
it.
prices just keep going up. And
They weren't all that busy in the before times, from what I remember.
I mean, the last movie that I saw in the theater was the Joker with what was his name? Was it Heath Ledger? Yeah, the
I'm
one that
talking about the
died.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude! That was like 15 years ago.
I know, right? I mean, hell,
Wow.
I cut out TV like in 2007, about the same time. Yeah, there was a moment when I finally said, you know what? Not paying this cable TV bill anymore. I'm cutting the cable. No more TV. We'll just go to using the VCR, which then became, now it's Roku and all that shit. And that's how all these streaming services, it's just been one iteration after another. And the good news is in the streaming ecosystem, we'll call it, apparently, when we talked about this before, there was a poll that they conducted that said that people paying for premium streaming services, they want more ads. Everyone wants more commercials than ads. That's why nobody ever puts an ad blocker on their computer, ever.
Right.
We all love ads.
Right.
We all want more ads. Please, help us out, Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
More ads, please. That's why everyone watches the Super Bowl, right?
You gotta think about like all the jobs that would be lost, Yona, if like commercials were to go away tomorrow. Like all those marketing people would be unemployed in a heartbeat.
All right, Walmart needs more greeters.
Do they though? Do they really?
The best part about it is, for most people now, if you go to use a Walmart, you say fuck standing in line for 2 hours and just go to the self checkout. And then when you get done
in line there too,
right, you'll be standing there. It just won't be 2 hours; it'll be 30 minutes.
Right.
So it's faster, sort of ish. And so when you get done paying for your stuff at the self checkout, the register literally asks you, "Do you want a printed receipt, or can we just send you an email?"
Oh yeah, I hate that bullshit.
Let's say you're dumb enough to just say, "Text me a receipt." Now you go to walk out the door with your stuff. First thing the motherfucker at Walmart's going to do before he lets you go out the door is ask you for a printed copy of your receipt. So why are you even asking me this, Walmart? You got some cheese dick over here with one eye popped out like Justin Bieber and Dianne Feinstein's love child, who can't wait to ask me for the receipt for the shit that I just fucking bought. And now he's going to inspect my entire thing like I'm a criminal that's trying to shoplift at their store.
Yeah, I never understood that. I never understood.
I hate Walmart.
The other thing too is they do that shit at Sam's Club too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's same company.
Well, yeah, but you can't get into Sam's Club and go through the checkout process if you're not already a Sam's Club member.
Right.
Like it just doesn't work. And then now you're going to check my shit on the way out the door too? Fuck you.
Yep. Yeah, remember, when you're a hall monitor as a freshman in high school, one day you'll get to do the same thing at Sam's Club to club members. Authority. Yeah. Fuck you, pores. I am one of the special pores. I'm an overseer for the boss. Back to work, slaves.
Right. He's a house ninja.
Nice. That's right.
Yeah.
Things will be so much easier for you, Toby, if you drop this whole Kunta Kinte shit, man.
That's right.
Massa loves us. Keep voting. You know, the thing voters don't realize is rather than fighting against the plantation, if you would just vote for kinder masters with softer whips, you know, some of them are promising longer chains, which means more freedom. Duh. And the anarchy movement is going to go so much further if people all across the anarchy movement start to respect the leaders of anarchy. That's where it's going wrong. Stop throwing the leaders to the wayside and focusing
Yeah.
on the rules.
Stop
If you want it to be
criticizing
a
the leaders.
successful movement, that's right. What does
Only
anarchy
those
need again?
damn
Yeah.
anarchists would just straighten up and fly right. God damn it, we could accomplish some real change in this world.
I mean, basically, anarchy is the complete fucking antithesis of what we have today, where although there is a constitution and amendments and laws, flawed as they are, well, forget about that. We've got White House executive order legislation from the Oval Office. We've got the secret laws that are enforced by the deep state that you can't even find out. Like, God forbid you end up on the no-fly list by mistake. Good luck getting off the no-fly list.
Oh, that happens by mistake?
Yeah, government makes mistakes.
I just assumed that if you made that list, there was a reason.
Well, I mean, I've not made the list yet.
I apparently haven't either, which amazed me. I was like, oh, they're actually going to let me get on a plane. Holy shit.
But I'm holding out hope I'll get that merit badge one day.
Yeah.
I just hope it's, you know, I'm hoping that it's that day that I finally have the courage to book that flight with Spirit Air. And I get to, you know, TSA checkpoint. And they're like, look, I'm so sorry, Mr. Anselmo, but we're not going to be allowed to let you fly. And I'm like, what? And right at that moment, they're going to come on over the intercom. Sorry, passengers. All Spirit Air flights have been canceled again today. And then it'll be like, fuck you people. Doesn't even matter if I made it through your checkpoint. Wouldn't be taking that flight anyways. Fly Spirit Air. Back to you, Drizzle. I mean, you know, moral of the story, Southwest or Allegiant. You know, if you're going to go bargain airline, make sure they don't cancel more than 90% of their flights every day. Pro tip.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who the hell. American. I think I was on American.
We flew American back into the U.S. from, no, it was Delta. We flew Delta, which has a partnership with the Mexican airline, which I can't remember their name right off the top of my head. Aero Mexico? Maybe it was Aero
Could
Mexico.
be.
But anyways, we flew from Mexico City to Atlanta to the ATL.
Atlanta.
Finally got the segue. So there was a lady that self-immolated in protest against the genocide in Gaza in Atlanta.
Wait, a second one now?
Well, she was actually the first, but no one has covered that story.
Huh.
And it wasn't until a few days later that Air Force Airman Aaron Bushnell up in D.C. at the Israeli embassy then did his self-immolation protest.
Right.
And I don't know how to say this otherwise, but it's really the Aaron Bushnell protest that caught fire across the country. I got to find a better way to phrase that. It's too soon.
Well, it was pretty hot. It was all over the place.
Think Texas Panhandle right now.
Right.
You know.
Well, they're getting snow right now, so.
Spreading like wildfire.
Right.
Scorching both sides of Interstate 40. Hello,
right.
Amarillo. Anyways, with all due respect, it's interesting how the CIA and the deep state have amplified every single act of protest, particularly self-immolation. You know, when we think about the Rage Against the Machine cover, the Buddhist monks burning themselves. We think about, what was his name? Bouazizi, the Tunisian fruit vendor that
Oh,
set
they kicked
himself
off
on
the Arab
fire
Spring. Yeah.
and kicked off the Le Printemps d'Arabe, the Arab Spring.
Yeah.
And that led to the whole Tahrir Square in Egypt and the replacement of the Hosni Mubarak regime with the new military regime of Fatah al-Sisi,
Right.
the general.
That still told the Palestinians to go fuck themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
And so,
Is that what they were trying to do? Were they trying to kick off like an American Spring with this Bushnell kid?
well, no, the point I was going to make with that was the fact that self-immolation has always been revered as a highest form of protest, and that you're going to suffer the pain of one of the most painful ways to die simply as an act of protest, and to announce your intention to protest before setting yourself on fire was regarded as something sacrosanct until Aaron Bushnell did what he did a few days ago. Now, all of a sudden, for the first time, and credit to Russ Dobular and friend there at Due Dissonance. The other guys escaped my name just momentarily, but Russ and his partner there on Due Dissonance, they were also pointing this out. I think it was them, that MSNBC and CBS, the lamestream media, now for the first time ever has been reporting it and spinning this whole story as directed by the CIA that Aaron Bushnell was not protesting. This wasn't about Palestine. This was about his mental illness and the fact that he needed to get suicide counseling, and of course covering it as
Well, of course.
some dude,
Right.
or initially covering it as
I mean,
some dude lit himself on fire, or
why
some
was
dude
he
committed suicide, when this is an active duty Air Force airman who
right?
specifically said before lighting himself on fire, I'm doing this in support of Palestine. That what's happening to me. Nothing is what they live through every day. And so I had this whole prepared remark, very obviously not crazy, not out of his mind. Clear mind, clear head, said what he was doing and did it. And so the immediate spin and how this was covered and presented to the public, just the immediate damage control and attempts to spin this and contort this and convolute it, that it was not a protest and that he was not of clear mind, and this was just a tragic suicide by some dude.
Yeah. Yeah, because
not
even
active
crazy
duty
people
military member.
just set themselves on fire all the time. Happens all the time. Huh. That's interesting.
And the thing left out of the conversation has been the critical word, which is fucking courage. It takes some type of courage to decide to die for a cause in such a slow and painful and public process. And when we look at martyrs and people who have died for a cause, whether it's in the Revolutionary War or the American Civil War or World War I or World War II, I guess you would call them extreme acts of valor and courage, which, may be looked at by a critical eye as suicidal in nature. Nevertheless, are emblematic of the very concept of courage itself. When you place when you place some cause or some other people's lives in priority ahead of your own life, to literally give your life to a cause or a message or a nation is traditionally always been viewed upon as acts of courage until Aaron Bushnell did this. And then all of a sudden, only a crazy person lights himself on fire. Self-immolation is not a form of protest. When all the CIA has broadcast for the last 70 fucking years is pictures of foreign nationals all around the world burning themselves in protest, and that's why we have to invade that country to free those people.
Hmm.
But then it happens here, and it's like, oh, that's not an airman, that's not an Air Force, that's just some guy, cuckoo.
Well, I mean, people got problems nowadays. So it's an easy thing for a low information individual to relate to, which is why they always seize on this type of spin, right? It's something that you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about, but it makes sense, or it sounds like it should make sense.
The good news is our side is winning. Independent, well, maybe I shouldn't say independent media, because we're going to say unaffiliated media. How about that? Unaffiliated media.
Why? Why can't we say independent? We're independent.
Yeah.
Nobody tells us what to say.
But there are independent news networks, particularly per se, and independent media is somewhat of a loaded term because not all independent media is the same. And
well,
so, I would just merely say,
that's an interesting point to bring up. As a matter of fact, that was one of the things I was hoping to discuss this evening.
There's so much infiltration into independent media, and so we see, for example, that's why I brought up the Aaron Bushnell story. Why was the lamestream CIA media so quick to report on this second self-immolation, completely ignoring the lady that did her protest in Atlanta with self-immolation?
So, all right,
was it because it was in D.C.? Was it because it was
probably
an Air Forceman? Well, what it was is, again, the unaffiliated or independent media, as it were, took the jump in the lead on the Aaron Bushnell story. Those were the cameras that were on the ground, the footage that we have. And that's what was going viral all across social media. And so it wasn't even a case like has happened in the past where, Telesur or Univision or, France 24 or BBC or Sky News or whatever. This wasn't a case of international media picking up on a story and getting the jump and the U.S. media responding to that pressure. This is one of the most clear-cut cases of local American-based content creators and independent media channels on social media and elsewhere getting the jump on the Aaron Bushnell story. So then that we see MSNBC and Joy and Reed and others immediately rolling out this counter narrative to immediately spin what they see is already spreading across the country virally. And so it just speaks to the times we live in now and how information and stories break and how they're conveyed to people today, primarily through the phones, through different apps on the phones. And it's not that CNN and Fox and like the Huntington Herald Dispatch and the Charleston Gazette, it's not like the old Dino media doesn't have social media presence. It's just that we all ignore them.
Well, we ignore them, but they get put in front of everybody else. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, they're on blast. Same thing with YouTube. That's anytime I go to get footage of something going on YouTube, it's almost impossible to find like an independent content creator or something with independent video footage, or which is not,
unless you know exactly what you're looking for. If you know exactly what you're looking for, and
you can
and
pick
you
it
know
out
where to find it, yeah, you can pick it out.
But it used to be 10 feet. Well, at this point, about 15 years ago, you have to go back in YouTube history. There was a time. Yes, folks, there was a time when an unaffiliated or independent media channel, as it were, could get the jump on a story, and it would blow up on YouTube and go viral. And that channel would pick up all these viewers, subscribers. That's before the big shadow banning and demonetization.
Well, yeah, that was before Google bought it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because now it's basically Google's mouthpiece. Yeah, most people don't realize it, but YouTube is social media. Whether you view it that way or not, that is what it is. That's what it was built for. It's just you do text on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You do video on YouTube.
You know, speaking of YouTube, the strangest thing has been going on with my latest, greatest YouTube personality, smoking more of the weeds. It all began. Shout out to my good friends at Roar Media there with Chan and Oz and Amber King and the rest of them. I was over at Beauty and the Boomer one night, and I've talked about this before. They made me a mod on the YouTube channel, so I got the little blue wrenchy thing and everything. And literally within about 24 hours, that I go to log in and sorry, you're unable to use this Google product now. Well, whoa, what the fuck? Come on, YouTube. Come on, Google. And at that point, I hadn't even loaded any videos or anything on that YouTube channel. And I'd only even posted 2 or 3 comments in chat ever. I mean, I literally did nothing. The only thing of note was being made moderator, and boom, I couldn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on a Friday. That happens on a Saturday. All of a sudden, Tuesday, like 4 a.m., after I get done with my show, my Monday night show, what's my show called? Oh my God. Peasants Podcast.
There you
Man,
go.
I'm so high right now. That's bad.
I am
Bad,
too.
folks,
I had a gummy.
I'm so fake.
When we started broadcasting tonight, so I feel
I
good.
shroomed earlier this morning, and it's
Nice.
still kind of there. It's all mixed in.
That's why you had
synergistic
churros for lunch. Everything's
Yeah.
starting to make sense now.
Oh, and actually, I went through 2 tubs of the dulce de leche with just 1 churro. I mean, literally every bite had to be. Which dulce de leche is kind of like caramel, only way
Right.
fucking better.
Right.
Way better. The sweetness of milk. Oh my God. Because it's actually made from condensed milk, the dulce de leche. You boil it, condense it down, makes this rich, velvety brown, almost looks like brown pudding. Dulce de leche, which a lot of times you can get the churros where it's already in the middle of the churro all the way down.
Right. Those are the best, I think.
Oh my God. Yeah, because when you get it, it's been deep fried, and it's almost like eating I would compare it to maybe like a hot jelly donut from Krispy Kreme. If you get it when it's just been made, not after it's cooled off and been thrown in a box.
Well, I always thought of it as what a Twinkie wanted to be.
Wow.
Like the Twinkie is like the stripper version of the churro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean there.
Yeah.
It's like churro at one end, fucking Twinkie at the other. Twinkie would be the worst simulacrum of a churros, which of course makes it American.
Correct.
America, the worst simulacrum of everything you can find. There you go. It's like, we don't have champagne, but we've got this sparkling wine in a cardboard box. It even comes with a handy plastic spigot.
I mean, we can make do with that. Absolutely.
I mean, I would like to think if we can ever get Cabernet Sauvignon into an aluminum can. Wait a second.
I think it's been done.
Chances are.
I'm pretty sure it's been done.
I'm going to say.
There is nothing new under the sun, Yona.
I'm going to say America, and don't let me down here.
I'm going to say Sutter Home. I bet you Sutter Home has a pop top.
Cabernet 6-pack of Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh my God.
You found it.
I, don't you have the Star Spangled Banner or something? I love you, America.
Ladies and
Not
gentlemen.
disappointed.
Breaking news.
America's awesome.
Yes, you can now get a 6-pack of wine in a can.
Not just any wine. Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's right.
You know, normally.
What brand is that? Who put their name on that?
Oh, you already said it.
Sutter Home? Seriously?
Sutter Home.
Oh, damn.
Sutter Home.
And there was
Man, you're batting 100.
You're right, man.
You're batting 100 tonight. You got McConnell there at the end of 26. You're on top of the Sutter Home.
That's right.
I see why you're batting
crap
fourth.
ass wines. What can
And
I
that's
say?
why.
We all
Double J
have
is
to be good at something,
batting
Yona.
Bring us all home.
There we go.
Hit another homer.
Let me catch my breath.
Wow.
I'll get us there.
Box wine. Box wine and a 6-pack of aluminum can Cabernet Sauvignon. So, you know, you could get an actual French bottle of Cabernet or a French bottle of Champagne, but Walmart's got that shit. And look at the price. Oh my God. This is great. We're still kicking ass in America. Hashtag simulacrum. In fact, we're going to call it simulactastic. Simulactastic.
Mm,
That's kind of a milky name. Simulactastic.
kind of.
Simulacrum fest. Simulacrum. Simulacrum. There it is. Simulacrum. Simulacrum.
All right, put that on a t-shirt. I bet we can sell it.
Yeah, it's just not hitting.
Yeah.
It's not hitting. Simulacrum, you try to remix it, and it's already weak sauce to begin with because it's already a shitty copy of what it's supposed to be. So, you know, when you go to copy and rip off of Simulacrum, it's like after you've made a copy from VHS cassette to VHS cassette about 15 or 20 times. I mean, there comes a point where the audio is shit, the video is shit, because there's a degradation every time you copy from one VHS cassette to another on your video cassette recorder, or VCR, as it was. Back in the days of a Sony Walkman cassette player and pencils and cursive and stuff, eons ago.
Kids today have no idea what Memorex is. None at all.
And if you think 144p
Physical
is bad,
media, what's that? Yeah, Yona,
wow,
we've already been taping for an hour, and we have not yet mentioned the lizard missing from the terrarium.
Yeah, I was kind of ignoring that whole soap opera because, like, as soon as Jacob de Rothschild died, like, Chris immediately got with him and dumped Saddam, who's now fucking Satan again.
Again?
And the last time Saddam and Satan were fucking, well, I mean, it's just because, you know, Saddam was not respecting Satan's feelings. All he wanted to do was fuck all the time. And Chris would actually listen to him. But Chris is in love with Jacob's lizard dick.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was honestly
Hell is
surprised.
a soap opera.
Of course it is. But he was only 87 years old. Like, everybody else lately has been in their 90s, right? Kissinger was 100. Queen
But
Elizabeth
he
was
had
almost
to
100.
die. He had to die, and he was being summoned back to the control room.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
He was being summoned back to control because lizard people never die. I mean, it's like you ever broken off the tail of a lizard?
Well,
Shit
yeah.
just fucking grows back, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is
You know,
amazing.
I can break off a finger. Shit's not gonna fucking grow back, man.
Actually, I've heard there is a way you can do that, but it has to be like a finger or a toe, right? Like it won't work with like a whole appendage. Like if you lose your hand, you're kind of fucked at that point.
So does that mean if I follow the government's advice from Health and Human Secretary Director Rachel Levine to cut my dick off, that there's no way I can just grow it back?
Um, no.
Well, it's what strap-ons are for, isn't that right, Crystal Ball? Um, and some are really big, aren't they, Kyle? Ooh, that's why she calls them Grildo in the bedroom.
uh,
Ooh, it's rough. It's rough. And
wow.
you'd be getting white tips frosted on your head at that point too, Drizzle. I mean, come on. Oof.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be anywhere near that. No, not in the same room, not in the same county, the same
Tell you,
state, even.
it's more than breaking points. It's tearing lips.
Yeah,
There,
apparently.
poor kid
That's
can't
just
even walk
bizarre.
right.
That whole thing is bizarre.
She was
Are
married
they
with
still
kids and
on the
everything.
air? Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
talking
her
about
husband didn't
Crystal.
care. Her husband was like, "Yeah, go ahead, whatever you want to
Well, they are Nova. I mean, she is from Nova, and she almost
do."
got elected in Nova. So she's totally got that Sterling Preston vibe.
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
She's
she
got that
has that
fucking
Langley vibe.
Yeah, she's got that Loudoun County smile, that posh, you
Yeah,
know, refers to pores as hoi polloi as often as possible just to show how fucking sophisticated she is.
right.
Oh God, what an insufferable cunt. Anyway, anyway, and then Sagar and Jetty. Oh my God, if it wasn't for Dinesh D'Souza, Sagar would be the most insufferable male cunt on the planet. But luckily,
Yeah.
there is Dinesh D'Souza, who is even more insufferably douchey.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Well,
even know who these people
Sagar's
are.
like the ultimate soy male, right? He's
Yeah,
angry about everything, but he's not going to do anything about anything.
yeah, such a gamer, bro. And always with the Bluetooth in the ear. Everyone knows one. It's like, dude, would you lose the fucking Bluetooth? You look stupid.
Are they still
It's
doing their thing?
like it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're in your boxers. You're watching the fucking NFL, drinking a beer. Why do you still have the Bluetooth in your ear, bro? Lose
I want to who's funding their production? Like where are they getting their money from?
and their
Like I
fact
can't believe
sheet.
that anybody is actually like watching them every single day. Like shit, hardly anybody like tunes into Liberty Radio every single day. Like how are they still going? Because like they're never right about anything until later. And they go, oh well, we were actually wrong about this. We found out this new stuff now.
I mean, I did start watching Breaking Points when it first hit the air for like the first few episodes. Um, it was new and shiny and had that new car plastic smell of fresh formaldehyde, but
Yeah, but they did
quickly
that
it wore
whole
off and
yeah that
it
fake
immediately
we got
had that.
canceled thing, and it
Yeah, it was the fake cancel thing that immediately put that Langley taste in the mouth, that strong aftertaste of WD-40 and dog shit that I like
Mm,
to call Ohio River water. And that's when you knew that this is just a limited hangout cool spot to kind of get people to come back, just step away from the ledge and come back to us. Keep believing, keep voting. Kind
right.
of like in some regards, kind of like what Bernie Sanders did. And you look at Bernie Sanders now, still won't call for a ceasefire. He's upped his rhetoric saying no more funding for them, but he still won't, still to this day, won't say he wants a ceasefire. Diehard Zionist Bernie Sanders. Are you burnt the fuck out? Yeah,
I don't see that there is a political solution to this problem. Because the whole reason why we have this problem is politics, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, we need to look in some other facet of life for a solution to this problem. Politics is not going to deliver it. If
The
it was going
400-pound
to, it would
gorilla
have
in the room
happened
is,
already.
when they talk about foreign aid and aid packages to Israel or Ukraine or whoever, um, remember to think about Raytheon investors, and they have families too. And, they're just trying to keep up with their HOA fees, everything else, because it's expensive to live in a gated neighborhood that has a homeowners association that you have to fuck with every day. And, they've been working for Raytheon for years, aiding other nations, to just murder people. But, hey, what they do with the military aid after the U.S. gives it to them is their thing. But, aid or foreign aid or military aid, basically, I think we've explained this before, but just to be claro, mi amigos, y amigas, um, it's like this. Let me just cut the chase, get right to the fucking point. The United States government is organized crime family, and their number one purpose is to provide the oil companies, which own out all the other companies, plastics, pharmaceuticals, everything else is actually a subsidiary.
Hollywood.
They're all subsidiaries of the oil companies. And the oil companies own McDonnell Douglas, Raytheon, and Boeing, and the rest of them too. You see, it's all one big corporate glob of basically oil money.
Yeah.
Okay. And the armed services, the armed forces of the United States military is basically a private Guido force. For the oil company, they tell us who to invade, where to invade, when to invade, how long to occupy. They literally call the fucking shots. I mean, when I had to translate documents, documents about oil fields and engineering studies, geotechnical studies from Arabic to English, during my active duty service, it's all about oil exploration. Nothing to do with liberating the Iraqi people. It's about liberating Iraqi oil. But, you look back on it now, all these years later, and it's a war for oil. Yeah, it seems obvious now. But at the time, CBS number one was talking about, cold babies thrown out of the incubators on the cold hospital floor. And
it was a Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter.
Knowlton Hughes, right?
Who would have known better than her?
And then later it was the WMDs, right? Because Saddam had WMDs.
Little thing here is going to kill us all.
Oh yeah, the yellow cake uranium from Nigeria, right?
That's right.
Colin Powell.
Special CIA napkin.
Raytheon, we I can't state it enough. The United States is the world's number one manufacturer, number one marketer of death in the forms of bombs and bullets. And Russia's number two, but we're number one in selling bombs and bullets. And so when they say there's no political solution for the Israel-Palestine conflict, yay, that is correct. But there is a business solution. If Raytheon just simply stops providing their products to Israel, you have your ceasefire. Unless Russia or someone else steps in to fill the void, which could be the case. Who knows? But it would no longer be the United States being complicit to genocide, as now South Africa, Nicaragua, and other countries are joining the fray. And this shit going down at the ICJ in The Hague in the Netherlands is no longer just a problem for Israel. The United States is now being named, and others as well. What Canada, Germany, Australia, all the countries that are continuing to provide ordnance, that's bombs and bullets, to the IDF, that's immediately being pumped into Palestinian civilians, women and children, primarily women and children. Now they're also being, I guess, co-indicted as co-perpetrators of genocide with
What, for
Israel.
like aiding and abetting or something?
Yeah, yeah, because they're basically saying if the United States wasn't giving bunker buster bombs to the IDF nonstop, if Raytheon wasn't providing Israel with its Iron
Well, I
Dome
mean, they kind of have a
missiles,
point.
then there wouldn't be all of this immediate bloodshed of Palestinians with American ordnance. Now, one can make the argument again, as we've already done so, that if the United States was to make a void, if Raytheon was to, I don't know, grow a soul and have a conscience or something, I can't even say it with a straight face, and say no to more profits, yeah, I'm sure, BASF, but
Yeah.
the Brits and the French and the Germans would step in to the,
No. BASF, they shut down their biggest chemical plant. I think for good.
oh man,
Yeah. So no more Zyklon B.
well, surely they've got some in China. Isn't
Probably.
everything made in China now?
I got something from Malaysia the other day. What was it?
I wonder if the U.S. Navy needed more ships built really quickly to fight China in World War III, would China still build them for us?
Probably. Probably.
Oh, but wait, the Chinese are sharp though. They'll see right through that. They'll build us a Chinese junk that floats.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah. And they'll still charge us regular price for it.
Because it turns out a Chinese junk is a boat that floats, sort of. Yeah, the Chinese actually explored Europe and Africa even before Marco Polo. Um,
Really?
let's see. I have spoken to a number of Chinese nationals, and I always ask them how to say this name, and I think it's Sheng He, Sheng He, Sheng, Sheng, no, Zhang He, and it's spelled Zhenghe with a little accent, like
Oh,
Ervoye,
wow.
Ervoye. Um, and yeah, this guy went on like a Herculean type Iliad Odyssey type shit all across the stand. Well, today would be the stand.
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, um, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan. What's that other one called? Their pizza guy. Oh, and he just died too. The black guy that ran for president. Who's
Black.
Becky Stan from Godfather's Pizza, former Godfather's Pizza CEO.
Yeah. No clue.
Oh, come on! Now I can't remember that guy's name. Help us out in the chat there.
The only black guy I know that ran for president was Ben Carson. I didn't even know Godfather's Pizza was still a thing.
Herman Cain.
Oh, Herman Cain. He was black, wasn't he?
Yes, who's Becky, Stan. Passed away July 30th, 2020.
That's right.
Herman Cain. There we go.
I remember for a while there, right after he died, he was still calling in to, I think it was Jimmy Dore's show.
Yeah.
Every so often. That was hilarious.
Yeah. God, that guy's funny. Mike,
McCrae.
now I can't, Mike McCrae. That's
Yeah.
right. The man with the million voices, Mike McCrae. But yeah, you know, I've heard rumblings that the BRICS are proposing a gold-backed currency of their own, and if they ever manage to put their own gold-backed currency with the union banking system that they've already set up, as a result of constant overuse of economic sanctions and disallowing entire economies to use IBS and SWIFT banking ATM systems. They now have the union banking system. So, people can use ATM cards interchangeably between China and India and Russia that are on union banking system now. But the real, when the other shoe will drop when BRICS, if or when they go to a gold backed standard, because that means ask Gaddafi. That's a bridge too far when you start talking about actual gold backed currency, because that's the complete opposite direction the bankers are taking us. They want cashless societies. They tried to ram this through India. They've already had a number of runs in India.
They're trying to ram it through everywhere.
Yeah. To go cashless, to go CBDC, to go Bitcoin, to go nothing but digital money. So that there's always a ledger, so that there's always a transaction history. There'll never be any anonymous financial transactions anymore. Everything will be tracked and traced that you want to do.
Yeah.
But if we want to find out what certified investor class is doing, if we want to find out what the secret unelected permanent government's doing, well, that's classified. National security. You don't ever need it.
Well, if they actually want to move to this new system, then they have to have internet access 24/7, real-time data access all the time, which means we have to exist in a world where that is possible, which means there's probably not a solar flare coming. There's not going to be something that is going to interrupt that system that they already know about, if that's what they're trying to build.
I got to say, I am kind of rooting for solar flare, though. I'm rooting for solar flare. But I think that rather than kill everything electronic, it's going to be more like a maximum overdrive experience where, lawnmowers and weed eaters start, turning on their owners while they're trying to landscape.
That would be amazing. I don't think it's going to be anything that spectacular. I think it's just mostly like the electrical stuff in your house will catch on fire. Like all the electrical stuff in your house will catch on fire. So like all the lines in the walls, all your appliances, your lamps, everything.
Even
your
my
computers,
even my Yamaha keyboard.
That's right.
Imagine. Wow, it would be so awesome to be playing keyboard live when that happened.
Everything.
And my keyboard actually lights on fire. That's when I know.
That's right.
I'm doing it right.
That's right.
Got this motherfucker flaming.
All of a sudden, we just become the dog meme. Yeah.
Well, let's see. What have we left out of what's happened in the last 2 weeks?
Oh. Well, obviously the biggest thing. We now know what the greatest threat to our democracy is, Yona. Did you hear the news? It was all over the place. After this
I'm going to have to say racist,
it's so new,
white
even the
rural
AM
voters.
wake-up guys don't know about it yet. Well, they probably do now, but they didn't know about it this morning.
Are we talking about those white rural racists again?
That's right. The white rural voter.
Holy shit! I was just guessing.
No, it's
For real?
official, man. Yeah, Joe and Mika. Joe and
Yes.
Mika. They dropped the bomb
Yes.
this morning. What used to be the entire voting bloc in the United States, the white rural voter, is now the biggest threat to democracy.
Yes. Fuck yes. More hate speech, please. That's right. And the white privilege intensifies.
Yeah.
It intensifies. You know, the sad thing of all is, as we've discussed before, it was in the colony of Virginia, the Crown Colony of Virginia, where Poor's Rebellion, led by one Nathaniel Bacon, I think was his name, also called Bacon's Rebellion, his army of the Poors,
I think so.
fought
Yeah.
back. And it was on July the 4th, 1676, when they published their Declaration of Independence from the Crown and set about burning down plantations. And you had blacks and whites fighting alongside each other, but not Indians, because after they burned the plantations, they then went and burned down some Cocotan and Chinnetique and Paspahegh villages, which were part of the Powhatan Confederated tribes there on the Chesapeake Bay. But anyways, in response to that, the Crown came back and retook control of the Crown Colony of Virginia, and they created racial separation laws, beginning officially codified into Henning's statutes by the Virginia House of Burgesses, I think in 1701. Really old Dominion stuff here. And that's when they declared, and this was the law up until the late 1970s in Virginia, that whites and blacks and reds were not allowed to marry or live with one another. Separation of the races.
Oh wow.
And Virginia
They were
is,
full on racist.
and they defined what a white person was and how pure you had to be considered white and not mixed or mulatto. Um, and so this whole concept of whiteness was created out of thin air, woven from whole cloth by the British Crown in direct response to Bacon's rebellion in Virginia. And it was 1676, right?
Yeah, 1676, 77, something like that. Yeah. Let me see.
And then exactly 100 years
76
later,
to 77. Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly 100 years later, on July the 4th, 1776, we had our second Declaration of Independence, which fortunately has been able to completely overshadow Bacon's Rebellion and pretty much relegate it to a memory hole. Most people have never heard of it. There was a time there for about 2 months after Bacon's Rebellion was successful when the colonies were free. And then more ships arrived from England. Got shit back. And we're never going to let this happen again, because we're going to convince all of you colonists from Europe now that you're no longer Irish, you're no longer German, you're no longer Italian, you're no longer Spanish, you're no longer Danish, you're no longer Swedish, you're no longer Finnish, you're no longer French, you're no longer Portuguese, you're all fucking white. Welcome to the melting pot, brought to you by the Crown. And this is how we'll keep order. We will never let the poor whites and the poor blacks and the poor Indians ever act in solidarity again. Instead, we'll just have them fight each other.
Yeah. Doing the dirty work for them.
And whereas it used to be about the vilification of the red Indian savage, kill the Indian, save the man. Later, the vilification of the watermelon eating, constantly parodied in minstrels shows with black-faced white actors, the vilification of the blacks, which is still ongoing to this day,
Mhm.
called the evening news. Uh, but now
Well,
the
it's also
last and
called
only
affirmative
card left
action.
to play. Well, they've already vilified the reds and they vilified the blacks. Now we must vilify the whites, all of which are completely and totally artificial constructs and
Yeah.
have no relation to any tribe, any language, any culture, any nation, any region, any place. It's all imaginary things to say, I'm white, I'm red, I'm black. That makes no fucking sense. No one in Africa says I'm just black. They identify by tribe and nation.
Yeah.
Same thing. No one in Europe identifies as white. They're French or they're Danish or they're Swedish or they're Norwegian again, no one across Indian country identifies as just red. It's, Kiowa or Cheyenne or Navajo or whatever, Lakota. I mean, this shit of red, black, and white all goes back to Bacon's Rebellion and the Virginia colony. They didn't repeal those laws until, like that legally blacks and whites could not legally get married in the Commonwealth of Virginia until the 70s.
Right.
Literally state laws against it, which date back to 1701, the separation of the races and the creation of color as an identification for race dates to that. And that's what's so insidious now, to see the vilification of whiteness. Because again, what are you vilifying? You've created this artificial identity.
Yeah,
You've
it's a
created this artificial
concept. You're
construct,
vilifying a concept.
and you're vilifying a concept that actually, in reality, you can't really square the circle, because
Right.
there's nowhere on the map where you're going to find a nation of white where they all practice the religion of white and they all speak the language of white. There's no such thing. They fucking made it up, man. And when you go do your genealogy, you don't come to find out that turns out my great great grandmother from Dublin was 80% white. No one has said that ever, because that's not how genealogy works. You identify your ancestors by what nation, what language, what culture they came from, not what color the English crown thought they would group people under in order to control their crown colony from London in the 18th century.
Well, according to 23andMe, everybody's at least 2% Jewish. I don't know how that works.
What color is Jewish?
I always thought they were white, but I guess not. So if everybody's Jewish.
I guess you would say they're Weiss. Weiss. They're Weiss. Which is white, but that's Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, this whole disambiguation and division of the Earth's human population, first into regional city states, but then conglomerated into nation states. Nationalism, as touched on before, just around the time of the American Civil War. And now this conglomeration into what already exists today, the good global governance of global trade and big fucking trans-Pacific container ships, these super mega max fucking Panamax ships that, I don't know how many fucking TEU, 40, 60,000 fucking, 120,000 fucking TEUs. That's the containers that they offload and stick right on the freight trains, double stack.
Yeah.
This whole global governance, again, it's a whole new melting pot where they get to completely redefine humanity and recategorize humanity. And so now your national demonym and pronouns, and I'm a Chicagoan, I'm an Illinoisan, I'm an American. All of that melts away, and now the only identifiers that matter is preferred pronouns, and
Hmm.
you can pick and choose your gender, pick and choose your nationality, because it doesn't matter. Everyone's ruled by the same global overlords
Well,
now.
then,
So
so how much longer before people are going to be able to pick and choose their skin color? So that like people who are ashamed of being white can live out the consequences of their guilt as a black person.
it worked for Steve Martin on the chart.
It
Things
also worked for Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
things kind of worked out for Clayton Bigsby in the end, although
That's true.
he did divorce his wife because
That was
he
sad.
realized he
That
realized
was
that
very
she had
sad.
married a Negro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She really
too
did
bad.
love him too. That was the worst part.
And he was such a prolific author. Who's going to write those books now? I'm sure they'll find an AI ghostwriter. It's 2024 now.
Is there still such a thing as the KKK? Is that still real? Was it ever real? I mean,
Well, you know,
I know if Senator Byrd were here, he would probably have a few choice words for me. But
I would like to think that the KKK is a anachronistic form of the Patriot Front.
Biscotti says yes, there's still a thing. I guess
Yeah,
maybe he has a chapter in his town or something. I don't know how you would know that like you have a KKK chapter in your town. Maybe just random cross burnings. That might be a good indicator.
yeah. Fun story. When my dad's family, uh, just one of the sons, well, it ended up being three of the sons. Five of the sons stayed back in Sicily, but three of the sons and the father, Modesto and Salvatore, ended up taking offers from the Peabody Coal Company that paid for their steerage ship passage from Borgio, Sicily, next to Corleone, there outside of Palermo, over to Murfreesboro, Illinois, in the southern Illinois coal fields. And when they arrived at Ellis Island, they misspelled Modesto's last name with a Z instead of an S. And so Anselmo became Anselmo. But anyways, they were put on trains with windows painted black so they could not see out the trains and taken straight to the mines. And after working, I think literally took 7 or 8 years of all of them working in the mines to finally get like Marietta, the wife, and others brought over to America, which at that point they had finally gotten land and had begun to build the very first Anselmo home in the New World in Illinois, um, in a little town called Johnston City, right off Interstate 57 near Marion,
Hmm.
Illinois, Carbondale area,
Yeah, I know
home
that
of the
area.
Salukis,
Yeah,
Southern Illinois University.
Southern
Go
Illinois. Yeah.
Salukis! Um, but so they had completed a one-story miner's house, shack of sorts, for the Anselmo home place, and moved into the home. And I think within they were only in that home for about 3 months until the first cross burning one weekend, and then the following week they then burned the house to the ground. And that's when the Anselmo family then fled to the south side of Chicago, a little neighborhood called Cicero, Illinois.
Mhm.
Um, and that's when my grandfather, Salvatore Sr., was born. And then Salvatore Jr. would be my dad. Um, but that's when they moved to Chicago, south side of Chicago in 1919. And there was a family up there that helped them get situated, the Luciano family. Um,
Wait, wait,
yes,
wait.
related related to Lucky Luciano.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Alphonse Capone and
Yeah.
people like that. Because, different godfathers in the Italian community were always doing acts of charity and acts of kindness because it was good for their public relations to be seen in public,
Yeah.
giving out turkeys like on Thanksgiving or whatever, and that way that kind of balanced out all of the rapes and murders and arsons
Right.
at night.
Like when the president does the pardon of the turkey every Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's the same type of concept.
Yeah. Yeah. See, he's a benevolent godfather. Just
Right.
kiss the ring already.
Right. Just the ring, everybody will be fine. We'll have a nice meal. Forget about it.
Yeah. And so, yes, I am aware of the KKK massacre in New Orleans committed against the Sicilian Catholics. When Sicilians first started coming in the country in droves in 1890 up through 1930, it was 1908, I think, when Salvatore and Modesto were both working at the mines, because one of them came over a little bit earlier, I think in 1906, to test the waters and went back. So I've done all this genealogy research of my father's family and my mother's family, and that's how I found out, about the Dawes rolls and where my mother's family was, written down by the U.S. Cavalry during the Trail of Tears and all that stuff, and then going to my mother's family cemetery, the Jet family cemetery there in Middle Fork, Kentucky River over in Breathitt County, where like all of my Cherokee ancestors, the actual headstones have the Cherokee letters, the symbols on one side, and then English on the other. And like when my great grandmother's headstone, which she shares with her husband Morton Jet, when it was Newton Jet and Elizabeth Cloud Jet, being my granny's grandmother. Anyways, when that headstone was hit by the bush hog and broke in half, the Eastern Cherokee Band of Indians, the Eastern Cherokee Nation down there in North Carolina, actually came up to the family cemetery and replaced the headstone with a new headstone because I don't know that there's going to be that many monument companies outside of either the Cherokee Res in North Carolina or the Cherokee Res in Oklahoma. I don't know anywhere else where you'd go to a monument company and get a monument carved with Cherokee script.
I'm not quite sure myself.
Anyway, which people will notice every now and then when I'm in the chat that
I'm
I'll
sure
turn
now
on
you could just type it into a computer and it does all the lathe work,
Yeah, which I've got the Cherokee keyboard layout, and so oftentimes I'll go into chat, which I'll do it now. We turn on my Cherokee keyboard layout, and there I can say OCO Nagad, right? Hi, everybody. OCO Nagad.
Boom. There it is.
Boom. There it is. But,
that's wild.
When it comes to the Klan and just racism in general, it's been a constant strategy of the masters of the plantation to get some of the slaves to think that they're more special than the other slaves.
More equal.
In order to maintain law and order amongst the slave classes. And now that
it's called the managerial class.
We've got a whole new slave class being welcomed into this country, ushered in thousands at a time every day with no documents, but they'll give them driver's licenses if they go to the right sanctuary state. It's a whole new labor pool to replace all the Americans soon to be liquidated. Anyways,
yeah.
And so
certainly
in that
what
regard,
it seems like.
The old days of, the fairer skinned slaves have special rights, and the darker skinned slaves don't, never will. So see, you're better slaves. And so now they're just doing away with that altogether and basically saying, fuck all you slaves, especially the special white slaves, the worst ones of all. While behind everyone's back, they're bringing in brown Smurfs by the fucking truckload, Gargamel. And Azrael. I didn't forget about you. Meow.
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure what the play is. I mean, I understand it's like cultural dilution. Supposedly on the way to some sort of cultural homogeneity. I still don't understand how that works. We're just going to mix them all up together until they're just like one thing, which is not ever going to happen.
But what's wild is, like, you know, because of course, te habla español sin problema. I'm fluent in Spanish, and, you know, doing DoorDash. Um, about a quarter of all the DoorDashes every day are from actual Mexican owned and operated Mexican restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
like Toro Loco, Tres Hermanos Nunez, and El Colonial, and others. And of course, whenever I go there, wearing my little sombrero mexicano here that I picked up from the Chiapas state there in the Zapatista zone, old trusty black sombrero, and I go in there and talk, you know, Mexican with them. And
I thought you said it was
although
Castellano.
Castellano is what they call it themselves
Yeah.
in Spanish, but in Kentucky or here locally, you would say, "Oh, that's Mexican." You're talking Mexican, you know, because we speak English as a second language in Appalachia, of course.
Oh, yeah.
First language is
Pigeon. Yeah.
Yinzes or something. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
It's
what.
pigeon.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the same in Virginia. Like if you try to talk
Mm-hmm.
to somebody from Wise, Virginia, and you get them over in Suffolk or Norfolk or something, they're not going to understand each other.
No.
Because I mean,
One's the
already in
mountains and
Suffolk,
the other's the coast.
yeah,
Yeah, it's two
and
completely different cultures.
the guy off of Route 58 in Suffolk is not going to understand the guy off of Route 58 in Wise
Correct.
over in Bland County. It's not going to happen. Speaking two different languages, two
But
different cultures.
I can talk to both of them and act as an intermediary,
Yeah,
and receive a fee as a result. So that's all good.
I still say Trump and Biden, neither will be on the fall ballot.
You don't think so?
Nope.
All
Nope.
right. So if it's not going to be Biden and it's not going to be Trump, here we are. It's not even March yet, right? Super Tuesday has not even happened yet.
That's in a week.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm not really paying attention.
March the 7th?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know. I know March the 4th, I'm going to be talking with Hervoye about some of this nonsense. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Nikki Haley? Is she going to hang on just long enough?
I think our choice is going to be between Nikki Haley and Gavin Newsom. If I had to bet money right now, I would say that they're leading the Las Vegas line.
Isn't he about to face recall again?
Yeah, but what better time to get the fuck out of Sacktown and move up to the real Mactown, DC, the adult care facility.
No, I think they want to save. Here's the thing.
Or is it Kamala?
I think it's going to be Kamala. Wouldn't that be interesting? Nikki Haley versus Kamala.
Ooh, who can do a fake Southern accent better?
Dude, those debates would be unwatchable. Like that might destroy mainstream media right there. Those debates.
Oof. I mean, it's already pretty much destroyed. Who in the fuck watches CNN? It's
Um,
just background noise at a couple of airport terminals and
I don't know.
maybe the lobbies of a few hotels. And
I was gonna guess that
obviously, it's on in a
the
few nursing
teenage
homes.
boys that Anderson Cooper has chained in his basement because he forces
Yeah,
them to watch it. I don't know.
yeah, because they don't have access to the remote control.
But they're chained up. Of course.
Yeah.
If they had access to the remote, they could change the channel. That defeats the whole purpose.
People forget Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt.
Yes, Anderson Van Cooper.
That's right. I mean, his
It's
mother
funny.
was
I
Gloria
was actually
Vanderbilt, married to Gary Cooper. I mean,
yeah.
that's
No, I tuned in. I tuned into Jimmy Dore's live stream last night while I was eating dinner. First time I've done it in weeks, if not months.
boy, doesn't he look rough?
I didn't notice. I did notice that he was shilling for the wellness company, which really disappointed me. But they kept they kept talking about Anderson Cooper. I forget what the subject was they were talking about, but they were focused on CNN and Anderson Cooper. And Jimmy made it a point to keep saying that Anderson Cooper was a Vanderbilt. I thought it was hilarious. He tries so hard.
I mean, the good thing is, if you haven't watched Ryan Christian for about 6 months on The Last American Vagabond, jump over to Jimmy Dore and you won't skip a beat because he stays about 6 months behind.
Yeah,
When you've already known about it for 6 months, then Jimmy Dore will come on the horn blasting at the top of his lungs. I'm the only motherfucker in Hollywood that's talking about this now.
right. Which
You're
is
correct,
still
Jimmy, because we've all
technically
talked
true.
about it
Yeah,
for 6 months.
yeah. Because nobody else in Hollywood's going to talk about it. You have to go outside of Hollywood.
But it is good. Jimmy Dore is one of those people that's caught in the overlaps of a number of different Venn diagrams. And honestly, I think he's really taken to Rumble. He's really fit in well with Rumble, and he's picked up a tremendous following on Rumble. Um, it might be from many of the adulatory statements made about Trump that are accurate normally when made, but all taken in context. I'll put it this way: Jimmy Dore is a professional, accomplished comedian,
Yes.
and he knows how to read an audience. And so he speaks to his audience with a conscious mind, aware of who his audience is. He's a professional.
Mhm.
There is such a thing. He's already made it. That's why
Yes.
he's, I mean, as he explained the other day, that's why he's selling out shows. Because he's already an accomplished comedian. He's already made the money. And so, it is really interesting to get his perspective. And I greatly value his perspective. And I respect some of his egotism simply because I understand that to be a fearless on stage live comedian takes a certain amount of gravitas, courage, and give a fuck attitude to be able to just
Mhm.
go up to a fucking microphone with no band, no music, nothing behind you, nothing to hide behind, just you and the microphone, and somehow make people laugh and hopefully outrage people and set off some hecklers too. That's when you know you're doing it.
Well, right. Yeah. Like Patrice said, if at least
Yeah,
half the people in the audience aren't terrified, you're not doing it right.
yeah. And so it takes a real. It's just it's very unforgiving. If you bomb, you're going to bomb epically as a open mic comedian. So I totally understand that naturally there's going to have to be a little bit of egotism. There's going to have to be a little bit of confidence that you carry around in yourself to even attempt to take on such a venture as going from strange microphone to strange microphone from town to town, flying your wares as a microphone comedian to strangers. I couldn't imagine. I mean, it's been hard enough for me just going from mic to mic, town to town with different bands, trying to entertain people with music and having to put up with requests for fucking covers. But anyway, as Billy Corgan said, we don't do covers. We don't do covers. We do Smashing Pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
Which, interestingly enough, I've never covered Smashing Pumpkins. Sorry, Billy Corgan. Yona don't do cover songs. But tell it to John Prine. Anyways, because I covered John Prine. I made it except because he died. Okay, he died. He was in Nashville at the Vanderbilt Hospital, and
shout out Anderson Cooper.
It's all back to the fucking Vanderbilts. And their team is called the Commodores.
Yeah.
They're in the Southeastern Conference.
That's right. How? SEC. I have no clue, but
football powerhouse.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt Commodores. Because they're in Tennessee, right there with the Vols, the Volunteers of Tennessee.
No, I don't understand how they're Division I. Like, they should be like Division II or Division III, and yet they're fucking SEC.
I was thinking more like NAIA, but they got that Vanderbilt.
Yeah, whatever, man.
And it's Nashville. Nashville had to have their D1 school. My God, there's like 8 D1 schools in Tennessee now.
Probably, yeah.
Even Etsu has a fucking... Etsu's made it to the big dance. East Tennessee State University.
That's right.
Shout out to Bristol and Johnson City. And yeah, I didn't forget you, King. Anyway, Tri-Cities.
Well, we've hit the 5-minute warning, Yona.
Gosh.
Like, it was a successful return.
And, I'm glad that for once I did not make this a Yona self-love festival about promoting my own music, even though I've got all these other songs and all these new videos I've done. We did have music, but it wasn't even about me. I put one of my favorite unknown performers on blast tonight. Shout out to the Autism Spectrum and Wesley Willis.
There you go.
And
speaking of Autism Spectrum,
rock and roll McDonald's,
we are about to have another hero in the family because apparently it just came out today that Sam Bankman-Fried, his lawyers are going to plead autism as his defense for defrauding people of billions of dollars.
Because he doesn't know where it went. But if you ask him to count, he can tell you how many toothpicks are in that box, Rain Man.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. He's a genius, but he's autistic, so that causes him to steal people's money. Yeah. Dude, imagine if Michael Milken had been able to use the autism defense.
That probably explains Oliver North's reason for a presidential pardon. Oliver North did all that arms trading with the Contras for sending and selling missiles to Iran.
Yeah. And drug trading.
Because, autism. That's going to be my new, maybe I should change my whole thing of cuz poop. Change it to
Cuz autism. I was thinking about just doing because fluoride as an answer for everything.
Because fluoride.
Yep.
And autism.
Yep.
Brought to you by Pfizer. Stay up to date. Let's see. Well, I did make that new track with MC Rich G, aka Richard Grove, the
Mhm.
one I like to call Achistalska because he starts fires, literally, in the woods, anywhere. Just ask him. Need flame? Talk to Richard. Visit him at autonomy.agora.com. And remixed him with Machiavelli's Hail Mary, which you already put that on blast
Yeah,
on the Saturday night freakout party.
that's right.
Started off that show with the Grand Theft World Liberty Radio premiere of People. That's
Yep,
what it called it. All same group of people.
that's right.
It's
Oh
all the
man,
same group of people.
there it is. Yeah, man, you gotta love it when Rich breaks out the fucking Muppet voices. God damn, Muppet voice with Rich book camera at the same time. It's like triple cherries on the slots.
Yeah, that might even win us some awards. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
All right.
How many other podcasts are rocking the fucking blue gooseneck fucking book cam?
Oh, I know he sent one to Jay Dyer. I'm not sure who else may have gotten one. I think Nick at Hayes Reviews does some interesting things with a book cam, but don't quote me on that because I'm
Just
not
remember,
100% sure.
in that one of the greatest songs ever made for a motion picture soundtrack, Team America, World Police, the song I'm referring to, America, fuck yeah. They say at the end of that tirade, and books, yeah. That's all I got. There you go, folks. Stock safety. Nicole Hita.